The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. If you have a specific health concern or condition, please consult a qualified healthcare professional for more details. Check out herguru.uk/disclaimers.
Welcome to Work Stress Anxiety. What if 2 minutes was enough to begin calming your nervous system before an important meeting? What would that mean? Well, that's exactly what today's episode explores as Amy shares practical tapping routines you can actually use at work, allowing your nervous system to settle naturally. Hello everyone and welcome to Work Stress Anxiety. I'm Cheryl and today I'm here with Amy, and today we're talking about using tapping during workplace stress and anxiety. So hi Amy, how are you?
I'm great, Cheryl. Thanks for having me.
So what I would like to do, Amy, in the last episode we talked about how stress and anxiety goes so well with being dealt with EFT.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'd like to do in this episode is go a bit deeper into certain scenarios that someone might be experiencing stress in, especially in the workplace, and how we can use EFT to help alleviate those feelings of stress and anxiety. Is that okay?
Yes, I love that idea.
So what I'd like to do to get us started off, I was thinking about a situation that I was in recently. Believe it or not, I'm quite shy a lot of the time, and I often have to go somewhere where I might have to make a speech or do a presentation. And I was thinking there's loads of people who are like that, who, they're very good at their jobs, but public speaking can be very difficult for them. So I was hoping we could do like a 2-minute routine, EFT routine, that someone could do discreetly, maybe in the toilets before they go out or somewhere quiet, that those few minutes before they go into that meeting or presentation, or even if they have to have a difficult conversation at work.
Okay.
How's that?
A difficult conversation would be a little bit different than the tapping I would do for public speaking. So what would you like to focus on first?
I think let's do the public speaking because lots of people have to do that, and that's a common thing.
Yeah.
Managers and leaders have to do.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Should I go over the tapping points again, or should we just jump in?
Yes, please. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I'm going to
Just so that everyone's familiar with them.
Okay. I'll just do the abbreviated version. Normally, I tap through all of the energy meridians, and I work on the karate chop point, starting on that karate chop point. But if you only have 2 minutes, you don't have to go through that whole scenario. So the first point is right at the beginning of your eyebrows. And you have to make sure to tap on the exact spot because that is going to make it the most effective. And then you move to the side of your eye, right at your temples. And then under your eye, right on top of your cheekbones. And then under your nose, under your mouth. And the collarbone point, if you find the beginning of your collarbones and you go about an inch lower, there's a little valley, soft spot is what you called it, right in between your ribs and your collarbone on either side of your sternum. So you want to tap in those spots right there. And then we'll go back up to the top of the head. And after you say or think a phrase, you might not want to say it out loud, even if you're in the bathroom, but you can think these phrases in your head. Then you just move to the next spot and you keep advancing through the spots as you think or say a phrase out loud. So we'll just do a little sample one for public speaking for about 2 minutes, and we're just going to honor and acknowledge all of the fears associated with that. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to start on the eyebrow point. Say, I'm so scared about giving this speech. I'm really worried that I'm going to mess it up somehow, and maybe people will judge or criticize me for it. And it feels like there's a lot on the line. My reputation is on the line. I need to come across as knowledgeable and resourceful about this. And I really want to make a great impression. And I'm worried that my nerves are going to make that impossible. Maybe my voice will shake. Maybe my hands will shake. And I'll just go blank about what I'm supposed to say in that meeting. And it just feels so scary. And I want to honor that at the deepest level. There's a part of me that really wants to impress the people in this meeting. And that's not unusual. That's me just trying to do a great job. But it feels like there's a lot at stake here. Maybe there's even people that are very important in this meeting. And I don't want to mess up in any way. And I just want to honor that I care a lot about this job and my performance. And that will come across no matter if my voice is shaking or not. I know my job. And I have a lot of knowledge to share with people. And they will look past a shaky voice or shaking hands. They might even feel compassion for me because they know how nervous I am. And I just want to remind myself that it's okay to feel safe and calm in this moment. And I will get through this. And it will be okay on the other side. No matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And my body will calm down. And I will emerge from this having done something I was afraid of. And I'm really proud of that fact. Something along those lines.
Cool. Thank you. What I wanted to ask you, because I for a moment there, I completely zoned out. That I was absolutely enjoying myself. But what I wanted to ask you was, a lot of people think I have a real thing about this that in the podcast, I hope I always convey to people that stress is not something to be avoided. The feelings are not to be avoided. A lot of the time, I think a lot of self-help stuff has this sort of fluffy view of health, mental health, and that everything should be positive all the time. And, it's all about, thinking positive and all the rest of it.
Toxic
And one of the things that
positivity.
I've
Yeah.
learned yeah. One of the things that I've learned, especially with EFT, is acknowledging how powerful it is to acknowledge how you feel. Acknowledge the feeling, not to be afraid of saying, like you say, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I don't want to mess this up.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying those things, especially as you're tapping those energy points in your body, how powerful that is.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that, Amy? Why it's so important to connect signals that you're getting from your body?
What I want to say with this, and I hope this isn't too woo-woo for your listeners, but when we are worried and stressed, we often have thoughts just swirling, not landing anywhere in our heads. And really what we need to do in those moments is bring our energy back down in our body. And one way to do that is to stop the swirling by actually just saying them. Saying them really does that. The tapping helps us to get into our body too. That's the somatic therapy of it. But saying that actually stops the swirling. And there's something just so powerful about, and cathartic, I'm going to say, about saying the words out loud giving them a voice, actually letting those thoughts leave our body physically is a really powerful thing to have happen. I think that's the comment I get most from my new clients, people that have never done tapping before, how powerful it was to just say those words, things that they have been thinking forever, but never actually let out of themselves in a physical way.
You've got an app, haven't you, called, correct me if I'm wrong, Soar with Tapping, is that
Yes, it
correct?
is. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the app and why you decided to create an app around EFT?
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to. The app is my passion project, and it's because you know how powerful tapping is. I know how powerful tapping is. And when I started my business and doing sessions with people, that's one of my favorite things to do, these one on one sessions. But I really felt so powerfully that I wasn't reaching enough people, that I needed more people to have access to tapping and be educated about tapping and help them through the initial phases of understanding how to use it and how to apply it to the things that are happening in their lives. And so an app just felt like a logical way to do that because I felt like I could reach so many more people that way. I chose a little bit of a different approach with my app because what was out there at the time when I first started creating the app was, I thought, was inadequate in really offering people the full power of this tool. What I noticed was out there always felt like a Band-Aid on uncomfortable emotions, but I really have experienced that tapping can get to the root cause of uncomfortable emotions and help get rid of them completely, help neutralize them completely. So instead of just putting a Band-Aid on anxiety, I have discovered that tapping can actually reduce the amount of times you get anxious, reduce the intensity of your anxiety over time. And from my own personal experience, I can truly say that I am literally like 80% less anxious than I used to be 5 years ago. That's why I created the app, because I think people need a Band-Aid in a moment, but I also think that they need to have the tools to be able to get to the root cause of their anxiety and get rid of it completely or neutralize it completely so that they can function better in their lives moving forward.
Cool. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of high functioning people, especially women,
Yes.
they don't explode. What they do, somehow they keep everything under wraps. They over explain, over prepare, sometimes over apologize, or become very helpful. I'm just curious to know, how do you think tapping can help someone catch those patterns earlier?
I'm not sure that that tapping can make people aware of their own patterns, but I do think that the patterns that we have, especially as women, have been very deeply programmed into us through kind of a scary history of how women have been treated, including being institutionalized for having too much emotion. And so we have really been trained out of engaging with our emotions. And tapping is a really gentle and delicate way of kind of allowing us to go back down that road, because we know that that is the key to kind of getting out of those patterns in the future. So
Okay,
the
cool.
pattern of over accommodating, it's just our, feminine way of trying to keep ourselves safe. And if we don't feel safe, then we keep doing this pattern. But using tapping on the reasons why we don't feel safe can help neutralize those fears, therefore breaking the pattern from continuing in the future. If that makes sense?
Cool.
I don't know if I said that properly, but
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, that sounds great. And just so that everyone's clear, your app SOAR with tapping, SOAR with tapping. Um, if someone was using that in a real work day moment, like before a meeting or after a stressful message that they've received, or when they're trying not to take the whole day stress home with them, on the app, thinking about the app now, is there anything that you particularly recommend that they did?
There is a quick boost section that is like 10 minutes to gratitude, 10 minutes to hope, 10 minutes to like connection with your higher power, 10 minutes to like get us back into a place of feeling like ourselves again, instead of focusing and having those swirling thoughts about the stress or the overwhelm or whatever it is. It can like refocus us very quickly and get us back to whatever it is we want to feel. If we're feeling overwhelmed and you have like 20 minutes, you can do a tapping script for feeling overwhelmed. Or if you're feeling anxious, there's a tapping script for feeling anxious. Right now I'm working on a very specific new category just for different types of stress. But yeah, there's over 160 different tapping scripts that people can choose from, including things to help them sleep at night, things to help with physical issues, and then all the way down to fears and phobias, like really, really big fears of not being enough, fears of rejection and abandonment, stuff like that. So there's something for everybody there, and meditations and lots of videos. If people are struggling with things like anxiety or depression and they don't know where to start because those are really unclear type of emotions, and there's videos to show you how to get started with that and the different tapping scripts that you should engage with along your journey to heal those things. So there's lots of instruction and just trying to gently lead people through this process that they may not have engaged with before. It's totally new. Like our emotional health is just now starting to be an acceptable thing to focus on in our society. And a lot of people just aren't familiar with how to do that and how to approach it. And so the app is trying to get people to engage with it in all different ways.
It's really interesting what you say, because especially us women, from when we're children, we're always taught somehow to not express our emotions,
Yeah.
especially if it's anger or frustration, that somehow we're all supposed to be polite little girls.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons you're right, we're taught to suppress our emotions all through our lives, even when we're going through very emotional experiences. I mean, just thinking when I had my first period, I mean, at school we were taught that this thing was gonna happen to us and it was part of nature. But I'll be honest with you, I thought I was dying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I was completely overwhelmed in that moment. And it was only someone saying to me, "No, Cheryl, remember, we talked about this. This is just normal." I remember in that moment, something like EFT would have been so useful for me.
Yeah.
So I can imagine,
Yeah.
and this is why I get so excited about it, because I know it has so many potential places of application in our lives, from the time that we're we're able to acknowledge our emotions right through, our working lives and in loads of different situations. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you talking about this to us, Amy. And like I said, your app is called Soar with Tapping, and I know that you do a free trial. Is that right?
Absolutely. There's a 14-day free trial for anybody that signs up. In the onboarding process, they kind of make you declare that you're going to get a subscription, but they don't charge you till 14 days later. So during that time, you can
Cool.
cancel the app without any cost associated with it. But during that 14 days, you get access to all of the tapping scripts, all of the information. If you want, you can switch to free content only afterwards. And there's a limited amount available for that. But yeah, 14 days totally free. Hopefully, that's enough
Okay.
time for
So
people to experience some of the great gifts that tapping has to offer.
absolutely. So I just want to thank you, Amy, for explaining all about tapping and why it works so well during work stress and anxiety. Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about tapping whenever somebody asks.
Thank you, Amy.
So the next time work starts to feel overwhelming, pause for just 2 minutes. Notice what's happening in your body. Acknowledge how you're feeling. That tiny pause might just change the rest of your day. Bye for now.